Hi, and welcome to Encourage My Soul. My name is Eunice Catougno, and my husband and I live in Los Angeles. We are part of the Los Angeles Church, and we are part of the coastal region, and we have the honor to serve and shepherd in both of our Spanish-speaking ministries. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes today to listen. I hope that what I share will be encouraging or inspiring, and if you need it, maybe a little challenging to your heart so that we can spur each other to grow. See, it's even hard to say it, you know what I mean? When we have to grow, it's hard to say it. But I hope that that's what it does. It is amazing to me how sometimes we can have different areas in our character or in our life, and sometimes they're not always challenged right away. But God has his perfect timing for everything. There is a time for everything, right? In Ecclesiastes 3. And this time of being at home, God has said, hey, Eunice, there is a part of your character that needs to be worked on. There is a part of your character that I need to poke and refine so that you can be more like me. It doesn't mean it's easy, ever. But I said, okay. So before I go into that, I want to set a stage for you because it'll help you understand where I come from on some of this. So let's pretend this is my bed. Next to my bed is a sliding glass door. Right outside is a little balcony. And right across the way is my neighbor's roof. And on that roof, every morning, there are these amazing sparrows, and they make so much racket. They're always so busy. They're building a nest, or they're trying to get food for the little ones. And when the little ones are born, oh my goodness, they are so loud. I do not need an alarm clock. I do not use an alarm clock. And on my balcony, I also have a hummingbird feeder. So as soon as my eyes are open, the first thing I get to see is that little hummingbird, you know, they make the little noise. The little hummingbird or the other one, they're trying to fight each other. And you know what? It reminds me of Psalm 118. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad in it. I am glad in it. I wake up and there's just something about that puts a smile on my face every morning. Now, what happens is that I love that place. It's that moment where it's quiet and it's just rich. And God is like present, a great reminder. And I am able to build this like bubble that goes to talk about my raw human nature, which is really, I am an introvert. And introverts don't like this to get messy. I'm just good right here. I love listening to the birds, and if there's a little breeze, listening to the breeze or seeing the trees sway a little bit, it's all good. And it's a great reminder of who God is, that he's good and that he's in control. Because I need that. But you know, these little guys, they don't worry about anything, which is also another great reminder in Matthew 6 that tells us that God takes care of everything. But I do worry. I'm like everyone else, and but they're a reminder to tell me, hey, don't worry. So, which leads me to continue to talk a little bit about my human nature. So, because I'm in my bubble, my little protective place, when hardships come, whether it's personal or to someone else that I care about or any of my friends, the first thing I do is usually I step back and I'm observing. I just have to take it in and I have to process it in my head. And then I start thinking about, okay, what do I need to do? What's the plan here? So I could start praying, I could start serving, I can call on other people to help the situation. I get busy. Now, not necessarily wrong. In an emergency situation, that is a great asset to have. But spiritually speaking, what I am doing is that in my busyness, sometimes I'm pushing off the pain. You know, I want to help. I'll be there for you, but I don't always want to feel the pain that goes with it. Which this then doesn't help to be Christ-like. I'm going to read this scripture. In Matthew 9:36, it says, when he saw, and he meaning Jesus, when he saw the vast crowds of people, Jesus' heart was deeply moved with compassion because they seemed weary and helpless, like wandering sheep without a shepherd. You know, that deeply compassion part. Do I have compassion? Yes. I've been told I have it. So, my friends, people around me tell me I have compassion. But I've never been told that I have deep compassion. And you know why? It's because I'm here and I don't want to feel that pain. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to leave this safe place. And so when God calls me, so what I need to do and what God calls us to do, and in Psalm 46:10, he says, be still and know that I am God. You know what happens is in that moment, during that time of reflection, things come in and God is saying, hey, Eunice, you need to pay attention to these things that are going on around you. Look at how people are suffering, or look at what concerns are here around you. But my nature, my raw nature says, okay, but I don't want to feel the pain. Go away. I want to stay here. So I want to share that some of the things that I've had to do to really work on that character. Because at the end of the day, I want to be more like God. I want to be more like Christ. I want to imitate him and I want to love deeply. But all growth takes pain. It takes a hard time. It hurts, right? So I've had to allow myself, I've actually had to mentally say, you need to sit here and allow yourself to feel this pain. It's okay. Don't run from it. So a couple things that I've had to do, of course, is prayer. One of the biggest things is just spending time in prayer and being still before God. There are times where I love to go for walks. I go for walks a lot. And when I'm walking, sometimes I walk, I'm not listening to music. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm not doing anything like that. And I just walk in silence. And I'm trying to be still before God. But then I take a moment and I want to give honor, and I do give honor to the people who have lost loved ones during this pandemic. The people who could not be with their loved ones. I just can't imagine how helpless that must feel to not be with someone that you love when they're going through such a challenging time. And for the people who are ill, for them to be there and to feel like, oh my goodness, I have no connection. And I know the frontline workers, I see them with video, with iPads, all that, and I know they're doing the best that they can. But sometimes it's just not family. And there is a void there. So I have to take a moment of silence to give them honor and mourn for the people who are mourning, and give them respect. That was not in my nature before. It's just like seeing the numbers of all these illnesses and the people who are dying, they were numbers. But now I have to take time to think about what those numbers mean and really let it affect my heart as Christ would, as he deeply was concerned and compassion for people. The other things that I've had to learn and make myself aware of is that between March and April, the calls for domestic violence have gone out there's been 700 more calls in the months of March and April than they were this time last year as you compare them. And so I had to think about women and children and some men who are in an abusive relationship and they're stuck and what that means to them. And then it's funny because there's some other states that have actually said the calls have gone down. It's less. And you would think, well, maybe the pandemic is helping. But in reality, what's happening is that they're actually safer not making the call, seeking help, than they would be than staying at home with the abuser. I mean, wow. That's intense. And that's really hard to think about. Even sure about it, it just does something to me now that before it really didn't. But I wish I could say that was only here in California or in the US. But in France, South Africa, and Australia, in these last months, they have gotten over 90,000 calls of violence against women. It's not just us. It's not, I mean, I really had to get out of this bubble. I really have had to open this up to really see what's going on and be aware of it. And then in Turkey, the number of women being killed has soared. I haven't looked into why, but it has. And how sad is that? And then, beyond all of that, then we go back to our country. And I have forced myself, it took me about a week to look at George Floyd's video. My heart did not want to see that. I did not want to hear that man say, I can't breathe. I did not want that. But I did, because Christ would have cared deeply enough to do that. And I did. And it has led me to study further, which is the big thing, educating ourselves and learning more about what is going on around us. You know, one of the things that has really helped me, and I want to say kudos to my girls. I have 3 amazing daughters. One's 29, one's 27, and one's 24. And they are very spiritual women, very passionate women. And they have helped me to see the world through their eyes. I think one of the challenges also is, as I've gotten older, I've gone through a bunch of stuff. I've experienced things. And I feel like, okay, I kind of got to figure this life thing, it's a little figured out. But you know what? I've had to go back, and they have opened my eyes and have been like, Mom, you need to go back and educate yourself, and you need to understand really what's going on. And so I have, because we need to be humble to our children. So the main thing I want to share is that the one thing that I've really, really learned more than anything is that I have a lot to learn. So every morning when I hear those little birds, it's another great opportunity for me to become more like Christ and to learn how to love deeply. Thank you.